3 months ago, I was looking inside myself during a certain activity and came up with a very interesting game idea. The very original thought was a toilet crawling through the desert. I was thinking of a rage game type of game with weird controls and punishing gameplay. It somehow overcame me and I quickly decided to turn this into a game. People say that you have to release a shitty game at first in general, so yeah, I took that personally. I really didn't want to waste much time on this one because I am currently working on another big project. So I decided to keep the development cycles ultra short and just give myself a couple of months of time. I also wanted to release as fast as possible in general, without ever looking back, in order to see what sticks in the end. So let's have a look at the basic game design again. You're a clunky toilet that needs to overcome an obstacle gauntlet. Your only options of control are directional force pushes. Checkpoints exist, but don't soften your landing very much, making failure extremely punishing. And to spice everything up, I came up with an NPC that permanently mocks and roasts you. The supervisor. With the basic idea in my head, I started drafting and entered the prototyping stage. I started with the camera system and the player movement. Nothing too fancy here. I wanted the game to be played from the third person, so I made the camera permanently follow the toilet. As for the movement, I simply created a vector based on the camera transform and implemented a charging ability, so the player is able to charge his jump and propel forward on release. Since most of the game revolves around the level design, I started to create a toolset of modular and abstract physics properties for geometry. This would help me to stitch together cool level sections with moving or rotating platforms, surfaces with bouncing behavior, or even force fields or gravity affecting areas. I also added a loose condition, so the player would be killed or set back upon touching certain geometry or falling off the map. I was thinking about how to manifest the supervisor and just found a simple asset pack in the asset store that had masks in it. And I thought I simply take a strange looking face that is permanently following you and mocking you. So that's basically the design for the supervisor done. Again, quick and rapid iterations and no overthinking of any design choices here. Lastly, as in many parkour games, I was designing some traps, which made use of the damage component I just created. And then I already switched over to the level design because all of my core game design was set. I already had a rough idea of the level design in my mind. I imagined the first section to be a classic desert. After the player had overcome this one, he would enter a big dungeon and stay inside. At the end of the level, he would enter a void or like spacey type of level where he would be able to finish the game. Once the rough blockout of the game was set, I started the implementation of the checkpoint system. So basically it works kind of like an Alt F4. You're able to reach certain checkpoints throughout the game. Each checkpoint is able to give you 2 respawns. If you consume them, you will be set back to the last checkpoint you activated. And that already marks the core gameplay loop of the game. The next step was to breathe life into the supervisor, so I was defining some moments for him to speak and mock you. And the next one was to basically create a bunch of voice lines for the supervisor. So on certain events like on death or on respawn, there was a certain likelihood that he would mock you. And if he didn't mock you, he would just say continue. So I definitely wanted him to be very annoying and designed around that.
Continue.
As for the whole art style of the game, I definitely wanted to stick to a realistic approach. So I was simply using the PBR model and added a bunch of aggressive post-processing to the game, which also includes a high contrast approach, which gives it a really realistic look, I think. So yeah, that is that. With the jumping being the only real mechanic of the game, I put a lot of thought into it on how to make it as fun and juicy as possible. I went for a camera shake, some visual feedbacks with particles, and also nice sound design, so the player had actually a nice feedback upon jumping. Further into testing, I realized that the single jump on its own was a bit too stiff to control the player. So I thought it would be a great idea to add some kind of more control by adding a strafe mechanic. So this means if you're in the air, you are able to strafe to the left and right and have a bit more control over where you land or where you go.
I sense confidence.
Cool trick is here to basically rotate the camera around 90 degrees, so you're now able to accelerate or decelerate.
You're still alive. Didn't expect that.
I've been using AI to create the supervisor's voice lines, and I also created a filter from scratch in order for the supervisor to feel more superficial and synthetic. I've also been writing 3 different themes for all of the 3 levels. And yeah, that's basically all I've done so far. Of course, there was a bunch of bug fixing and optimizing and all of that stuff, but I wanted to keep it simple and stick to the first things I get, because I don't want to slip into scope creep and simply release my first game on Steam. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result. The goal is to participate in the upcoming Steam Next Fest and simply release afterwards. I already created a Steam page and uploaded a demo build of the game, so you can dive right in and see how the game plays for you. Please keep in mind that this is a rage platformer, so if you have a low tolerance for frustration, you simply might not play it. Feel free to wishlist the game. It will be released on the 22nd of October. And yeah, that's it. That's the video. Bye!